Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. We got a live tonight, and the topic of the night is what birds you are most looking forward to their return to your bird feeders coming this fall and winter season. I know they've been gone for most of us for several months now, and we get kind of anxious about this time. And this program was a recommendation from Andrew. I don't see Andrew on just yet. You guys are just now starting to join in. But Andrew recommended this topic a couple, 3 weeks ago, and I was going to do the program last time. But as you will know, and I really do thank you so much, Melanie. I do for all the well wishes and prayers that the time we have gone through with Melanie's mother passing. And it was, it's never easy, and her illness has been pretty lengthy, and we do really appreciate all the support. Melanie's not with me tonight. She actually is on a well-deserved time away right now with some friends that has been planned for many months, that she was going to be going on this trip, and we had to kind of really encourage her to go ahead and take the trip. Because it's she just needs that mental break. She was at her mother's side, and we were there for the service in North Carolina. And like I said, we really, really, really appreciate and the outpouring of well wishes from you guys. And I'm sorry if you guys haven't weren't aware of it, but yes, that shifted things around. So we put off the live from last week to this week, and let's see who's checking in. Hello, Sandy Dion. Yeah, thank you for reminding the reminder that if you would please like the program and give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, give it whichever whatever platform you're viewing on to let us know you like there. And the reminder, of course, as always, is that my name is Mark McKellar, and I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri, in the heart of the country. And we always really appreciate for you guys to check in from where you are. Let me know, if you would, in the comment section as to where you're viewing us from, and that really helps me when we're talking about topics tonight. And as always, so, and we really, like I said, it's going to be a little bit hectic tonight because it's just me and my producer dog Sophie over here in the chair beside me tonight. So we're going to get back to normal one of these days. I promise. And we always, you hear, if you know me and you've watched my programs regularly, or you're a customer at the store, I talk about the September slowdown. And boy, are we headlong in it. I haven't seen Carrie checked in yet. Don't want her to look at the day's total at the store. We one of the slowest days we have ever had at the store, and that's always hard. And we know it's coming every year, but boy, whenever you have those really slow income days, it's a bit of a shock. So, all right, let's see. Keith from Houston, I know you ordered just the other day. You said thank you very much for the support of the online store. And if anybody that's out there that doesn't know, obviously your viewing helps me on the YouTube channel, your support, and your comments, and your likes. But also, you can support us and keep these programs going by supporting the online store. I had someone tell me the other day, they sent me an email and they said that Aspect hummingbird feeders were so expensive. I said, well, have you checked my online store? Because we are not that much more expensive, and their lifetime warranty, things like that. So some people just don't know we have an online store. And if you check the description below the video, it expands out, and then there's all kind of useful information down there. And I try to put in links that we may be talking about tonight. If we talk about a particular other video, or like last live, I put in links to the Hawk Mountain areas that we talked about in that. So those descriptions below, and of course there is a link to the online store, and we really appreciate that store. So, and yes, I always do this at the first of my programs because we give time for people to get on and get in, and it can be a little slower for some folks. So I just want to try to give a few minutes to get them in there and welcome everybody. All right, Boston got rainy, Boston, boy. And there's another thing that's going on tonight. We really want to, that we're thinking about you guys down there in Florida and Georgia, and even up through the mountains of North Carolina, they're talking about this hurricane going to be bringing in some serious weather. So you guys, you're not watching me tonight. I know we understand that. You can always catch us on the replay, but take care of yourself, hunker down, evacuate, do what they're saying, because they're talking about this being a really, really dangerous storm. Having grown up in the Southeast, we've lived through lots of hurricanes over the years. And, you learn, to heed the warnings. All right. Hello, Andrew from Cincinnati, Ohio. If you heard me give you credit for the night's topic, because you definitely are the inspiration. You told me this is what a good topic would be, and I believe it. So I think people love that. Hello, Steve from Cumberland Plateau in Central Tennessee. So you're right. Yeah, that would definitely be a bad place to be tonight. There's going to be some serious rainfall and serious wind down there. All right, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew's referring. He is a member of our support group and the community. We appreciate that. And I don't know if some of you have taken advantage of the swag and Andrew, we appreciate that additional support. It isn't that much, but it really, really helps. It adds up. All right, Richard from Nanuet, a real regular visitor as well. Calls me hello from the Upper Peninsula. Okay, so good. We got some North people up there because I got some questions for you guys. Hello, Jan Zart, right here in the Kansas City region, just south of us. All right. Roy Board from Carthage, Missouri. How about that? Carthage, Missouri. I think there's a very famous biologist from Carthage, Missouri, isn't there? He used to, everybody knew him from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Hello, Carrie. You are on now. Like I said, I don't know if you heard me say below, don't look at today's total at the store. We were so slow. Yeah, the rain's going to head up. It's going to affect you guys. This is a massive storm. So, Andrew, you're going to get rain up there. My daughter in Myrtle Beach is, they've already closed schools for tomorrow because of the threat of the wind and the rain down there. Oh, good. All right. And from Pike Creek, Delaware. I think Delaware may be a new state for viewing it, or haven't known to have someone on from there. Appreciate it. Hello, Denise, my West Coast folks up there in Washington State. Cardinal direction. Hello from the Twin Cities up north. I used to be for years until we moved to Kansas City, and I still do like the Twins. They were one of my favorite teams growing up. Hi from Indiana, Kathy. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, that Boston guy who did the birds just disappear for 24 hours. Lost it. Oh God, yeah. Well, that is going to be a topic tonight, and there's one I don't like it. Only buying pepper seed from you next door now. Slowly but surely, the squirrels are going away. I truly believe in it, Ellie. I do. I use that the sizzling heat in my feeders that they can get to on the deck, and my squirrel-proof feeders really work. So, thank you, Brian. Brian from Leavenworth, Kansas. Sorry, Leavenworth, Kansas, right across the river. He kept up with our list today on the hike. If you guys, and there's some people hear me talk about these bird hikes I lead here in the Kansas City area. If you ever want to see the list for the bird hikes, like the one today was at a place called Wyandotte County Lake Park, go to my Facebook page, Backyard Bird Center. You just go to Facebook and search up Backyard Bird Center. And of course, you can subscribe to that too. And I post the list usually by Thursday afternoon, what we saw Thursday morning. And Brian, what do you have, like 31 species, I think, today? We had some decent birds. Yeah, we were watching osprey hitting the water diving, and a pair of kingfishers were diving on there. The ducks aren't in very well yet, but there were a few pine-billed grebes and a couple of mallards and 3 beautiful male wood ducks that we got to see. So they're fun. But if you ever want to see the list, make sure you go to the Facebook page. Carol Erickson, another 2, and you and Jay were both on the hike today. Yes, that's good. Redheaded, we saw them today. They're really moving in right now. Carol's expected pine siskins and purple finches. Yep, this is exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. That topic right there. Can't see the coastal and giant broad birds in frozen water. Rusty Blackbirds in their yard. All right, you guys are jumping in on the birds you want to see. That's all right. Hello, Leo from Fall River, Massachusetts. Oh, there's a name I recognize. Hello, Morgan. Love you, darling. All right. Okay, so the topic tonight. Let's get you going. The birds that we want to see, we look forward to most of seeing, and my folks on the bird hike this morning, I said, well, I got to have some slides prepared for tonight. So give me some birds that you're looking forward to. So I pulled in, I'm limited to 10 slides in this program. So I pulled in some into there, and so I'm kind of anticipating some that have been given now and may be coming. So we are. We can start anywhere, but I'm expecting someone to say the dark-eyed junco, because it is such a symbol of winter. And yes, they do winter. They do summer. They nest way up, and and of course, various points between here and the far north. But they have to escape that and come down here. This hike every year, the one that's about the last week of September, for us, a lot of times we see our first juncos on this hike. They don't usually show up at bird feeders until maybe a week or two later, but in early October, mid-October. It just depends. But today we did not. We didn't hear one. We didn't see one. But that is a favorite for a lot of people. They are so cute. And yes, they are native sparrows, and we look forward to seeing them. So that's one I led off with, because it is probably the symbol of winter to a lot of people. All right. From Dallas, Michael Hansen. We're starting to see red-winged blackbirds by the bushels coming from. Yes, they are. They pass through here. I had people calling a week or two ago about having just tremendous numbers and worried about them. And that's what they do when they're on the move in the spring and in the fall. We get those large concentrations that may move through, but they keep going. And unless you live near a wetland area, if you've got a huge wet area near you, like a wetland complex, and you usually don't see that many of them, but a few of them, and then moving through. Now they'll settle down in the Gulf Coast region for the most part. Cooper's Hawk made his way to Northeast Illinois. Yeah, I just, before we got on, I went into my Birder's Diary program, and I had 2 new yard birds over the last 3 days. I just got to enter them. Cooper's Hawk was one of them. A couple days ago, I saw one fly right through my backyard and across the street and kept going. They were a fixture in my backyard every day at the old house for 15 years. But that's the first one I've seen in this yard. And then last night I went out on the deck with Sophie, and I did my screech owl quiver, and a barred owl barked back at me in full call. So I added barred owl and Cooper's Hawk in the last couple of days. So you had a junco this morning, and that Carthage, is that right, Roy? Is that where you're from? I remember. But it's like I said, this is when we really get those early sightings, is right about now. I'm used to them being here, and it maybe just been the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, and when you move like of course I didn't move cities and states like you did, but you don't know what to expect and when to expect it. So everything is new to you, Steve. I understand that. You had your first junco yesterday in Cincinnati. Okay. Yeah. This is, like I said, this is right on time. I do not, Richard. I don't film my hikes. For one thing, the birds are so far away that we're seeing in the tops of trees and out on the lake. I just don't, we would be filming with an iPhone and, holding them steady enough for long distance shots. Now I post pictures all the time. Every bird hike, I try to post 2 or 3 pictures of highlight birds from the trip, but I just do not have the technology to properly record bird hikes. No, I would, that's, I'm a biologist at the limits, and I'm lucky to have Brian and Carrie and Kurt on hikes that they're great photographers and help us document it that way. But sorry, no videos for that. So, all right. What else has been mentioned so far? Looking forward to seeing. Oh, Hello, Janine Pfeiffer from Central New York. I'm glad you called up with us tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Well, aside from the Juncos, we love, if you follow me, I love my native sparrows, and Juncos are a sparrow, but also the white-throated sparrow is probably one of the most widespread of the native sparrows that moves in the winter months. And people love them, and they don't. These yellow lures are not as bright in the winter months, but they are mainstays, especially if you have trees in your yard and timber in the area. They're in the underbrush, and they're around picking up the millet seed off the ground. So, but one that is specialized for us here in the Midwest is the Harris sparrow, another of the native sparrows, and that was mentioned on today's hike as what they look forward to seeing in the winter months. They nest way north up in Canada, and they move into this area in the heart of the country, shaped almost like a donut. Their range and the heart of the country, right through Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and we're on the eastern fringe of there, and we love seeing them. They're big sparrows. They're really striking. And that certainly is one of mine, and it was mentioned today. All right, and let's see. Derek from Illinois. Yes, a real Coopers and a real Bard. Nobody was calling back to me. That was just me. Yep, the Coopers, and I tell you, they are ferocious hunters. We call it feeding birds with birds. If you got bird feeders, you're going to get visited by a Cooper's hawk or sharpshin hawk, or if you guys up in the real northeast, or in the far north, you may get a northern goshawk visiting your feeders. I don't have that. We don't have that here. I had a black phoebe. Oh, I love black phoebes are so pretty. We had an eastern phoebe today, but I had a black phoebe build a nest above my door frame last year. I won't take it down in case he decides to use it. They'll say, maybe I would be with you. I would be afraid to take it down. A lot of birds don't reuse nests, but there are plenty who do. And black phoebes are so pretty. Definitely would trade you my eastern phoebe for that black phoebe. Hope the fox sparrows that were in my yard last year. Absolutely. Another of the wonderful native sparrows. In my native, if you've been seeing my native sparrows, I talk about how the stripes on the chest, if you look close on a fox sparrow, they're really little arrowheads, individual arrowheads stacked on top of each other. Really cool. And they're a large sparrow. Absolutely. Yes, I agree with the white-throated song. And it's so mournful, but it is so pretty. What the mnemonic for it is, oh, Sam Peabody, Peabody, Peabody. Love it. Stunning copper-colored pine grosbeak. All right, now you're just rubbing it in. We don't get those down this far. Pine grosbeaks are really cool. And you're right. You don't know. I think the very first trip I did to Duluth, Minnesota years ago with a friend, we saw tons of them. We flushed flocks of them out of the road or getting the grit and the salt and stuff. And then others told me that up there, they said, boy, it's not like this every year. I mean, that was a good year for pine grosbeaks. So, yeah, you're making me jealous of that. I don't get to see those. They like more wooded yards. The real open yards, like my old house and we lived in for 10 years, was very open, and I had never had white-throated sparrows in that yard, but I had white crowns and Harris sparrows. So more trees are better for white-throated. White crowns tend to prefer the more open areas. Harrises prefer the more open area. Keep putting that millet on the ground. You're having flickers. Now, flickers are an interesting bird, Sandy. They're very nomadic. They just move around. We had 3 or 4 of them today, I think, on the hike. But you never know in flickers. They're just going to move around, and you may have them, and the next day you're looking forward to it, and you don't see them for another month. That's just the nature of a flicker for sure. Hello, Laura from Indianapolis. I'm still hearing Carolina Wrens here. Should they hit? I don't think they will. I think they'll winter right there. I mean, winters are harsh on them, but they tend to stick around in their area. They aren't migratory now. House wrens, yes, But the Carolina wrens, no, they stick where they are, and we have them here all winter. And we had that really harsh stretch of 16 below in Kansas City last January for about 3 weeks. It was really horrid. And I know that we lost a lot of Carolina wrens and northern mockingbirds and those southern birds that we're really up on the fringe like you are. And so if you have stretches of really hard wind, there's unfrozen water. It's the key. Make sure you got a heated bird bath out for them. Oh, I love white crowned sparrows. They are beautiful. Oh, I agree. I recorded a bobolink on my Merlin app too. See, that's a bird that it could have been misidentified by Merlin because they have a very metallic sound, and it's possible. I'm not saying it's not, but they are open country birds, and when they migrate, I mean they migrate in mass. So remember the limitations of Merlin. Merlin does make mistakes, but it's possible. Especially they nest north of the Missouri River mainly. But they pass through on the way south, in different locations. But you hardly ever just see one bobolink. They tend to be in big flocks. That's for sure. Yeah, I love. Oh, you're in California. All right. I've seen black phoebes in New Mexico and in Arizona and probably in Southern California too. I know they're that part of the world. Yep, they move. Those flickers are on the move. The dove are definitely on the move. They hunting season on dove started always on Labor Day weekend, so their distribution really gets scattered for a while. After that, they really do settle into urban areas and for a while for sure. And so a lot of people are complaining about the number of doves at their feeders right now. I only seem to get pileated with visiting the Massuet in the winter. Looking forward to that. Congratulations. I sure wish I had them visiting my feeders. We heard one today, but boy, I've never had them on a feeder. I know I have friends that have had them on feeders and different locations, but I just have not had that luck with them on the feeder. One that I know you guys up north that you don't, they are residents up there, but for us in the South, the other things we have called red winters. And red winters we look forward to in the years that these finches mainly invade to the South. And there is a report out there every year. Another guy who started it, I think, passed away or retired. But I think others are trying to keep it up. And it's a winter finch forecast. And they predict by food availabilities in different parts of the North as to what finches are going to be moving or on the move and go deeper into the lower 48, driven by food need. And purple finches are part of that. We can go a few years without seeing hardly any purple finches, and then we can have 2 or 3 years of really good purple finch population. And I have a video out there if you have a hard time differentiating purple finch from house finch. That's out there, and I can put a link in the description. Should be up. So I always look forward to those the purple finches. Yep, they are tough. Young Carolina here in Kankakee. I love we heard a couple of them singing today. Like I said, back in the spring, we were hardly hearing any Carolina wrens in the not in backyards. The urban areas tend to be okay where we have unfrozen water, but a lot of the refuges where we were bird watching in the spring, we could definitely tell the numbers were down. All right, let's see. Excellent. Heated bird baths are so important. Yeah, I mentioned I like that app as a learning tool, Roy. That it does make mistakes, and that's why people who, when you submit lists, you may get a question about it from an eBird reviewer. Did you get visual confirmation? Because they know that Merlin makes mistakes. Hello, Stephen Johnson. Haven't seen you in a while. Oh yes, it would be great to have a snowy owl eruption this year. Nemesis. I understand. For those of you, that really want to see a certain bird, and I was talking to Carrie today or yesterday about the Rusty Blackbird was a nemesis bird for me for years and years and years. And now, since finally saw one, now I've seen several, of course. But snowy owls, we don't know. It tends to be about every 5 years now that they've learned, doing a lot more studies with them as to, when we see them south. But Mary was telling me the other day that the studies were showing that some of these birds, there's been a bird that has shown up every year on the East Coast for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in a row in the same spot. So it varies a lot. But hopefully, I love to see when the snowy owls are here. It's just a fun time to go out and see them. Both white-throated and white-crowned stay about a week. Here a couple of years ago. None since. I only see juncos during migration in fall and spring. Never see them. Jordan, where are you? Just curious. That is strange. It just, again, the least amount of work for the most amount of gain. That's my rule. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. So why to go any further south than you have to? Now, birds do migrate their traditional migration routes, and they go down. And I've told the story about the Junco that was banded here in Kansas City and then killed, hit and went 100 miles north of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So they make that trip back and forth. But one of the things that we've seen, especially with the proliferation of bird feeding, is some birds we think are getting intercepted by more bird feeder stations in the north and not having to come as far south as they used to. Where we're kind of trying to document like some of the native sparrows because of this. We know that really cut off the evening grosbeaks here in the southern U.S. or the mid-U.S. southern the United States. We haven't seen evening grosbeak invasions in, God, I don't know, 40 years now, probably, which is really sad because they're a wonderful, wonderful bird. So it is hard to know for sure. You haven't had, yeah. Well, the house finches, got established there in the New York City area, and they spread out pretty quickly. That may have something to do with it. But wouldn't the purple finch like the state bird of, is it New Hampshire or Vermont? Somewhere up there. Then, yeah, they're gorgeous. I love them, but we do not see. A friend of mine used to call them the piggies because she said when they came in the winter that she had to keep her feeders filled because they would just empty a sunflower feeder in a heartbeat, and a big flock of them. Yes, some of them do. Yeah, them favor evergreens, but it just depends. They're getting whatever bugs are available to them in the bark, and evergreen trees will provide some of that. All right, Steve, thank you. Yeah, sharing the video are really, really helpful. If you're not subscribed, definitely, please. Absolutely. We've talked about this in this time of year. Thank you, Steve, for that reminder. Lights out. I know there was a program that Ruth was telling me on about the topic. They had somebody from Cornell talking about the importance of turning out the lights and how some of these larger cities have really gotten on board and making the high rises and stuff turn their lights out at night during the migration months. And that doesn't just apply to cities. Your porch lights outside and at night, turn them off now because birds are moving. I saw from Birdcast, that site I've shared with you before, that last night was a huge movement. I mean, there were just millions of birds moving last night. So, if it's rainy and it's foggy, especially, their collision with structures and lights are known to cause a big part of that. They kind of get in the light funnel, and especially those light conditions, and leads them right to the windows and smack. And there's just tremendous amounts die from that. Well, no one has said anything about redpolls, common redpolls. Now, you guys up north, you definitely get the chance of this. This is taken from a former employee, good friend of mine. She lives up in Vermont, and this is her deck. And she had, I think, 50, 60 common redpolls on her deck, and she sent me these pictures. And this one was wonderful. The male here with a more colorful red chest, but they're known for that red pole on the top of their head. So these birds get down here rarely. Ruth's yard here in Kansas City is famous for them. A lot of bird watchers will contact Ruth all through the winter saying, the Redpoll showed up there, because that is an uncommon bird, and bird watchers love to see, these rarer birds when they can. But I know Duluth, Minnesota, years ago, we were up there bird watching, driving around, and if we saw finch feeders hanging in people's trees, we would stop, and they usually had redpolls on them. So you guys from far up north, especially, I imagine you get them more frequently, but boy, we'd love to see them down here in the Kansas City region. I know about as far south as they come, with any kind of regularities, maybe Omaha, the Omaha area up there. Sorry. And but not much further south than that. So you people feed birds up north, to look out for those finches. They'll be feeding right among your goldfinches and your pine siskins, because I heard pine siskins mentioned. I was going to throw that up there. This is a picture. I'm sorry. This first year I'm having them standing. Yeah, absolutely. Leaving those wildflower seed heads up is huge for attracting birds. This is a bird feeder here in Kansas City several years ago. And we went around there to document the white-winged crossbill, which is that pinkish-looking bird there with the white stripes. But I love this picture because it has the winter plumage goldfinches, and it has a pine siskin down there on the bottom left perch, and it's got the white-winged crossbill. So that's all 3 of our winter finches right there. And, of course, the goldfinches don't leave, but we do get a lot more in this area in the winter months. I'm curious as to how they react in your yard. Do they the northern states, the snow cover and all, a lot of those goldfinches move south. Yes, Sophie. Yes. She wants to be. Maybe she wants to say hi. You want to say hi? When we get back at it, come here. Oh. Say hi, everybody. I'm commenting over here to the right. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but Melanie's not here tonight, so I'm having to have Melanie's chair. So, all right, it doesn't sit down. And then another favorite winter invader down here, of course, is the tiny red-breasted nuthatch. Yeah, these little guys are some years none, some years a bunch, and a lot of it's tied to the pine seed crop in the north, and they'll move down in years where there's a bit of a pine seed crop failure up there, and they come in and boy, they're the boldest little guys. They just aren't around people very much, and they'll eat out of your hands. They are absolutely just darling. I love them. All right. Oh boy. Yes, Sophie, people are saying hi. Yes, I know. Oh, there's Auntie Ruth. She's saying hi too. All right. She is a precious pup, that's for sure. And she knows it. Absolutely. One that I haven't had mentioned that I know we had a request to do a program about the brown creeper last year. People wanted to learn more about them. No, they don't come to the feeders very much. They will eat suet if you smear it into the bark of a tree like that. But for the most part, these are ones you're going to find in the winter at your bird feed out beyond your bird feeders in the woods behind you. They hitching up. They do a corkscrew up the tree and then fly down low to the next tree and then corkscrew up that tree and then fly down the next tree. I love them. They're just gorgeous little birds. Yes, Carrie says hello, Q-Tip. That's Morgan's nickname for Sophie has been Q-Tip, and that's a lot of people know her by that. Absolutely. Bob McLeod, hey Mark, Northern Lower Michigan here. Love your show. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining in. And like I say, guys, it means a lot when you guys the support you guys show us here at the channel. It is great, and I love answering the questions for you. Somebody said that, boy, that's the difference between you and a lot of these would-be experts out there. They don't take the time to answer questions. Well, I always try to do that. I really do. And we appreciate your interest, and like I said, we appreciate your support. So thanks for the compliment. Ooh, here's one. These are finches as well. There's the white-winged crossbill again on the left, and then on the right, a female in yellow and a male red crossbill that move in. And again, some years we have a bunch, some years we have none. And we always are hoping that they're part of that red winter, we call it, when the red finches invade the area. It adds, and they'll come to bird feeders. They'll eat sunflower seeds. They'll eat Niger seeds. They'll be right there among your feeders. They do have that crazy crossed bill for prying out seeds out of pine cones. Great example of that right now. Yes, ma'am, I understand. Yes. Yep. And then another one that I had in here put in is the yellow-bellied sapsucker. I've done whole programs on nothing but that bird, but that white slash in the wing is just a beautiful example of how to identify that bird. This is a male with a red throat and a red cap and eating on a peanut feeder. This is what I usually see him on, is my peanut feeder. So, and then I've got this great little video snippet I'm going to play. And this guy gets very vocal. This is at Kurt's water feature.
This is what you were saying.
I love it. I mean, you hear that's a female, and she was vocalizing like that right at sunrise. Great example of how important that water is. That was during that 16 below stretch that we had back in January, and there were different birds coming and visiting, and it helps prove to people visually that birds will get in water whenever it's really cold. They've evolved to do that. People talk about them freezing and their legs freezing to metal perches and all that. Those are not true. That's not been documented. The bird's legs are covered in scales. They have capillaries that are so close together that the warm blood from their heart warms up cold blood from their feet, that they're standing in cold water. So birds will get in really, really cold water, and they do it all the time. So when people say, that you have to have perches covered on metal perches, that, again, that's putting our feelings and how cold something is to us and our touch. Well, we're not covered in scales, and we don't have the evolution that birds do to stay warmer like that and survive those cold conditions. And then where is the other one? I had the other one to look forward to, again from Kurt's water feature, are a couple of rusty blackbirds here in the water. Truly one of the lesser known of the birds that come to feeders, can be at your feeders in the winter months. Those rusty blackbirds are in steep decline all across their range. So getting to see them in winter's a treat. And again, unfrozen water. I mean, they're wetland birds for the most part, and finding unfrozen water and those kind of stretches shows the importance of that water feature brought them in. So make sure you got unfrozen water up there. All right, let's see who else has joined in. All right, Sandy, brown creepers go from the ground up the tree. Nuthatches go down. That's right. Yeah, the nuthatches tend to go head first and search the crevices at the top of the bark, and the brown creepers come up from the bottom, and they're searching the crevices going up the tree. So nothing goes to the waste in nature. It's a niche they slide right into, and all those different feeding styles, which is a great topic altogether too. Yeah. When you again seeing one or two redpolls is down here, but boy, you guys up north, when you've got them, you've got them. Like I said, that picture of those three on that deck railing, I bet it's got pictures that she had like 50 or 60 of them in it, and they come in big groups. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Me too. All I've got is a heated bird bath. I don't have that kind of great water feature. And if you wanted to learn about building that water feature, that kind of water feature, I'll put the link in the description below that we did a live. We had Kurt on and Carrie on with us, and he went through the construction process and how he got that going, and how and you can watch that and learn from it. Yes. There you go, Bob. It's the absolute best way. When people ask me how to attract bluebirds, I always tell them a heated bird bath in the winter. I really think that let's say find that heated bird bath, they get in the water and they see those birds eating at your bird feeders. They go, what are you guys getting? And they'll go over and join in. And if you've got hull-less seed like medium sunflower chips or fine sunflower chips, bluebirds can't crack it open. But that combination of unfrozen water and hull-less seed will. You can get them and keep them all winter. And then definitely remember the mealworms, dried mealworms in the winter. Do nest boxes help keep birds warm? Yeah, that was my program like a week or so ago. We talked about roosting pockets and bird houses as roosting sites in winter. Now, I'm not saying to keep them warmer, but it protects them from the elements, the wind and the rain and snow, and they will stack in on top of each other in a bird box, so to help conserve warmth that way. So yes, in that sense, they do help keep them warm, but the bird houses are not heated, but they definitely help them. Speaking of bird myths, right? No, they don't, but they don't do it very often, but they do. And remember, it's not the native the praying mantises that kill hummingbirds. Native praying mantises, the ones that are native to this country, are no longer than 3 inches long. The big praying mantises that you see are Chinese mantids that were been introduced in this country through lots of stuff coming into the country, and they can and do kill hummingbirds. But it's not something you have to super worry about. But if you see them on your hummingbird feeder, you definitely need to get rid of them. And they're being exotic. They're not protected, and so, but they are. They make great food for kestrels and some of the Mississippi kites and things, but they're not good for the hummingbird. All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Excellent. I love the video about the nesting boxes for wrens. Excellent. Yeah, like I said, you guys send these topics to me, and I will do programs. I've got a fairly good some lined up right now. And yes, Steve, I'm going to get to your my top 5 favorite birding places in the United States. I'm going to get that one done and get that on. That should be fun. I bet they do, Roy. They love mine too. Those and the mealworms and the hull-less seed. Hello from Alabama, Jan. It is unusual for you to have bluebirds nesting this time of year. I just found it. Well, for you guys that far south, it's not as uncommon as it is up here. They're going to, if they have the opportunity to lay another batch of eggs late in the fall, they may do it. I mean, especially as far south as you are. We're thinking about you with that weather coming in down there. But, what have they lost if it doesn't happen, if they can't pull it off? They lay those eggs and they start incubating. Something happens. The weather turns really cold. They can't raise them. Well, then they really haven't wasted anything. The energy to lay those eggs. But they can certainly. I've seen baby cardinals in late October that they just hatch. So some birds will try to put that extra nest in. If they pull it off, great. They've added many more bluebirds into the gene pool. So they definitely will try this late. Yeah. Some of those big mantises are impressive. Yeah, they're. I've told a story about being out at the baseball Kauffman Stadium here, and watching the Royals up really high in the cheap seats with all the big lights above us, and watching these huge praying mantises, flying back and forth in the lights. You can tell them by their wing structure, and watching, kestrels fly out from the lights and snatch them out of midair and feeding on them, which is great. Love seeing that. That's the kind of predation we want to see. So, all right. Anybody else got a favorite bird you're looking forward to seeing? We have the finches, the siskins, Of course, the winter plumage goldfinches are invading. I always look forward to having those bigger numbers come in for sure. Purple finches, the crossbills, those are always very popular. But birds like the yellow-bellied sapsucker, which they will come to peanut feeders, they will come to suet feeders, but they're not here every year in good numbers. But again, when they're here, I always look forward to seeing the old Jane Hathaway bird from the Beverly Hillbillies, as I call it. The brown creeper, the red-breasted nuthatch is one of my favorites. This story I tell of the red-breasted nuthatch went out to feed birds at my old house, and I had a pitcher, and if you guys have seen the pictures in the swag, something like that, and had a scoop of birdseed in it. I was walking out to the bird feeders, and this red-breasted nuthatch landed on the lip of the pitcher, just right in front of me. And he looked up at me, and I said, "Well, you going to get some seed or not?" And he went down in there, and he came up with a sunflower heart in his beak, and he kind of looked at me and flew off. That's how brave they are. They are fearless, as they say. So I love the little red-breasted nuthatches. They are something else. All right. Can't birds intake water using their tongue like a dog? That is how almost all birds drink water, is either by lapping it or scooping it with their bill and tilting their head back and let gravity take it down their throat. The dove and pigeon group are the only ones that actually can suck like a straw. And that was a great. I could have put that video on tonight. Again, from Kurt's water feature of a dove doing that, like drinking, and after they take their drink, you see him doing it. You don't see him tilt his head back like almost all other birds to drop in it. But yes, like hummingbirds lap with their tongue and bring it in. So it is kind of a mixture. You're already jumping back to next spring, Boston guy. I hear you. As somebody said the other day about can't wait to see the Juncos, and one birder friend of mine said, "I can wait." He's not looking forward to winter. I love winter. So, but yeah, he's kind of like with you, Boston guy. He is looking forward to already the next spring, whenever the spring migration comes back this way again. So, yeah, that is, I understand that. Yeah, the Mississippi kites are just, I tell you, right, for us in this area, learned now that usually it's the week before and the week of Labor Day is about the peak when we get to see the younger fledgling flying around. We see them over the shopping center. We see them all around the city, and they start moving south. So that's when I need to look for them every year in this area. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you did. It's the differences. But now, the dove group, for the most part, for most of the country, there's only one species or one or two species. But there are some unique dove and pigeons out there that, especially you get into bird watching, and one of the things I love about bird watching is I want to see them all. I want to see all members of the dove group, all the woodpeckers, all and for the dove and the pigeons, you got to go to the Key West basically to see the white crown pigeon, and just the desert of the Southwest and stuff. So I love the pigeon group. They really are fun. Hello, Ruby, BB Ruby, love it from Utah. Oh boy, still had a rose-breasted grosbeak this morning. We still are, birds are still passing through. There's absolutely no doubt. We had a summer tanager this morning, still moving way through it. And again, a lot of those are young birds. A lot of the young birds, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave, where they grew up and they were hatched from. But eventually their instincts take over. The day length gets short enough that they take off. So I would think that's probably a young bird. We didn't have an eagle today. We probably did. I say that, Richard. We had a bird that had the wing structure of an eagle that was down the lake from us, flying away from us. So, but my instincts told me that was probably an immature bald eagle, and Ruth agreed. But we saw no color. We did have the ospreys were working the lake today. An osprey was working the lake today. But yeah, no, that lake is good for eagles, and we're going to again. We get a lot more eagles in the winter in our area, and they'll start. They're usually more mid to late November when we really start to see the increase in the eagle numbers in our area. Maybe second week of October. Derek, yep. No, absolutely. We used to do a guess the date arrival for the Juncos every year, and we gave away a bag of ground throw seed to the winner who would guess the right came closest to the right day. Well, the same friend of mine won it 3 years in a row. And so, it was like, well, we had to, and it had to show up in my yard or Ruth's yard or John's yard. So it wasn't like, you could say, mine came yesterday. No, it had to be, and I'm not kidding you. 3 years in a row, same person won it and guessed it on the head, when the first Juncos were sighted. So, they'll be here soon. Absolutely. The Central Valley of California very soon. Fascinating. Yeah. I'm gonna redo my vulture video. I did one 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm going to redo that because I think the quality was really bad of the sound or something. So I've been collecting some new pictures, and one of the pictures I did not have back when I did the original video that Mary took the other day was an adult turkey vulture and a juvenile turkey vulture side by side. So you can see that those juvenile turkey vultures have black heads, and people confuse that for being a black vulture. So I'm going to cover that in that vulture video. So, and in line to get done here in the next 3 weeks. So they're moving through here. They'll take their time going south. Nope. The yellow rump warbler, we had one today. That was the first one of the season for us that we had on the hike today. So you get them coming to your feeders. Wow. We don't get that. I know some of our viewers down in Florida, they'll get them in winter at bird feeders down there, eating fine sunflower chips and maybe suet sometime. But we don't get the pleasure of having yellow rumps or myrtle warblers here at our feeders. But we do have them in decent numbers in the fall out on our bird hikes. October 12th, is that the fall big day? I know I'm always in tune with the spring one, but I'm not as in tune with the fall one. So a good reminder. That's right, Roy. They we live right with the Central Flyway and the Mississippi Flyway, and whenever those snow geese move down, boy, those eagles are following them, cleaning up the dead ones on the way, and we get tons of them. Yep. Yeah, it is fun to predict the date. Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. Maybe it's been long enough now. We ought to bring that back next year. Yeah. Oh, okay. You spread the tree icing. Yep. Wow. 24 at once. Well, they do travel in flocks. So I guess that's not as surprising there, but I'm glad to hear that they're eating your tree icing. Brian's a big fan of the tree icing. I don't know if he's had the yellow rumps in this area on there. 24 the yellow rump. Now, do you get the Audubon variety with the yellow throats, or do you get the Myrtle variety out there with the white throats? Just wondering there. Yes. I don't know if you can hear the comments going on over here. She's letting me know, her patience is running thin, and she's wanting us to wrap this up. So, but she probably needs water. Yes, you do get the Audubons. That's what I figure out there. We only get the myrtles here. We occasionally will get an Audubons, which are, if you don't know what we're talking about, myrtle warblers consist of two subspecies, and they're going to get split one of these days back out. But the ones with white throats are considered myrtle warblers in the eastern part of the country, and Audubons are the western variety, and they have a yellow throat. So, but one day I bet you they'll get split back out when someone takes the time to do the studies. So, well, guys, thank you so much for the support and the idea. And, I really appreciate you sending in ideas and giving us likes and supporting us. And don't forget the online store. I really appreciate it. If you would share the videos, spread the word. Melanie's on her trip right now, and I said, "Can you get them to show the live tonight on the big jumper?" I knew they couldn't, but she laughs, so that's good. Try to make her smile. Yeah. Somebody asked about putting out jelly, and yes, you can put out jelly this time of year. Mostly house finches will be eating it, but you never know. I mean, even yellow rumps. I mean, there's several birds that will taste the jelly, get a taste of the jelly. But probably this time of year, house finches are certainly what you're going to get the most. Right? Yes, Andrew. Thank you for the suggestion. That was great. Thank you, Boston guy. You guys, I appreciate the support as always. I'll be on in a couple of weeks. We're back on the 2-week schedule. I apologize, like I said last week, and thank you again. And Melanie, thanks you all for your support and well wishes and prayers during the tough time with her family. And so you are very welcome, Carol, as always. And I think absolutely, Kathy. I love doing it. It is great. So. And I'm not a Cowboys or a Giants fan, so I'm not missing Thursday night football at all. But I'll probably go up and watch some of it now. Yeah, Cardinals. You'll get takers putting it out. Derek, you are very welcome. Thanks so much for joining in. Everybody, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.